Hello everyone, my name is Carl, and you're going to have to excuse me because I'm recording this on a cell phone, but it's come to my attention that a few people are kind of interested in some of these vintage presses because there's a lot of new reloaders out in the market right now, and I guess for me, when I got into reloading, there was not a lot of stuff on YouTube like there is today. And there was not a lot of people going in depth on how to reload or what it means to be a reloader and stuff like that. So what I wanted to get into today was a little bit of the history in a very, very small way. And I mean small. So this is the press that we're going to be talking about today. You'll have to ignore my coffee cans of cast bullets over here. But this is a mid-60s, early 70s Lyman Tru-line Jr. And the way you can identify these presses is by this link right here. This link designates it as being a late model Tru-line Jr. because they have this T-shaped link that connects it to your ram, essentially, because this is a turret press. And if you do not know the difference between a turret press and and different kinds of presses, real quick, real quick, this is a single stage press. This is an RCBS rock crusher, and it is a single stage press as designated by you only have one die in it. It can only process one function at a time. This press over here can do 4 functions. Now, it is not a progressive press, but it is faster than a rock crusher. So, what functions can a turret press do over a single stage? So we have a Lyman 310 die that is a decapping and full length sizing die, all in one stroke. Under here, we have a priming function. You set a large pistol, large rifle, whatever primers you're running for whatever dies you're running. Right now I have this press loaded with 44 Magnum dies. So, first function, decap, deprime, full length size. Second function, we have our expander ball die. And what this does is you take your case, whatever it may be, and focus, there we go. And what it'll do is it'll put a slight bell in your case. And this is not important when you're running plated bullets or when you are running, ooh, look at that primer, isn't it nice? All offset and not straight. Anyway, that's why I'm using this one, because it's brand new and it's nice and clean. So, it's not inherently important to run jacketed bullets or to expand a case with jacketed bullets. And the reason being is jacketed bullets will, because of the hardness of copper and how soft brass is, they're close enough to where you can slam them through. Not terribly important, especially if you're only neck sizing. I don't neck size. That's me. That's me personally. Now, third function. We have in here what is called a powder through die. And what that means is it does no other function other than to drop a powder charge into a case by this motion right here. Up, loads it with powder, down, give her a couple of taps, and your case will be loaded with powder. This is empty right now because I wanted to get into this. Fourth function, bullet seating, bullet crimp. Now, this is where a lot of people do different things. Some people choose to use dies like this that are two-step dies, and I call them two-step because they do two functions. You have a bullet seating stem, and then you have a die body that can crimp in the same function. Some guys go to a fifth or fourth reloading die and you do a taper crimp, and I do not have one out, otherwise I would show you. Little bit that I know about these little presses. Lyman came out with them in 1947-ish, 1949, somewhere around there. Somewhere. Their first designation of this press did not have this T. And what's kind of cool about this T right here, this little T-bar, is it gives you, as the press goes to the top of its stroke, what it does is it gives you more leverage. And now this is not an inherently strong press, but it is a very short stroke. And what I mean by that is when you look at the handle, the length that the handle moves through its travel is only about a foot, versus a rock crusher or any other press with an inherently long arm and an inherently long ram length to give you as much resizing force as necessary for extremely long cartridges with long necks, severe taper shoulders, things of that nature. This is not a press for reloading rifle. Anybody that says you can reload rifle on that, these things are 40 some years, 50, 60 years old. They are not designed for that kind of pressure. This press right here at the top of its stroke can make about 17-to-1 reduction when it is all the way up. When you are all the way down, it's about 9-to-1, or maybe that's foot-pounds of force it takes to size. I can't remember, and I apologize. This press right here takes extremely little force to resize cases like 270 Winchester, 338, 8mm Mauser, 30-40 Craig, whatever you have. It takes very, very little force to size brass. This press, I would only do straight wall pistol cases, and I do not even like running 44 mag in it because these things are very, very springy. So, now that we've gone on to my long rant about what each of these dies do, let's go into a little bit of the function on this Lyman 55 powder measurer. Now, I am very new to these, and I think they are so cool because I have for a long time been looking for a very small press or powder measurer. So what is so inherently cool about these is you have on the top a set screw that you loosen up, and it is a two-step metering function. You have a large, which I believe it is measured in grains by water volume, but I could correct me if I'm wrong. I'm wrong on a lot of things. So, first function, which I will need a light that I do not have on me. Okay, there you go. Now you can see it. My hat was in the way. So, first function creates a large void for powder to fall in. Small function creates a very fine adjustment for when you're doing small ball powder, whatever have you. And I think that is so cool because you can literally measure out tiny, tiny fractions. And where this comes into play is when a person's running small charges of ball powder or flake powder, like tight group or things of that nature where you're only literally running 4 or 5 grains. That's where I think this will really, really shine. So, another neat feature, this little hammer. I don't know why nobody else did this on a powder measurer in the history of powder measurers. I don't understand it. It just makes sense. Because anytime that you're taking this arm and hammering it, you're increasing wear to your measuring capabilities, and eventually something has to take the abuse. Understandably, these are cast iron. This big guy right here, cast iron. And that's a RCBS powder measurer, which I love. It's a great powder measurer. I do not know when Lyman quit making these presses, but I understand why. They had to have had a lot of problems with this press. And the first problem that comes to mind, it's small. Now there's a benefit to that, and there is a disadvantage to that. The disadvantage being it's small, it's weak. It's very, very easy to break these links, to warp them, and this turret head, as robust as it looks, it's only a 3/4 inch center post. That's all that's holding all of that force. And these are 5/8 fine thread dies. The dies are strong, but how they hold the shell holder is that little Allen set screw right there. That's all that holds them in. Don't get me wrong, they work great. They are fantastic for what they are intended. And in my mind, that is straight wall pistol cartridges, such as 44 Magnum, 38 Special, 357 Magnum, 357 Magnum, another straight wall pistol cartridge, 32s, 32 H&R Magnum, 327 Federal Magnum, 32, is it Long Colt? No, 32 Smith & Wesson long. I got a box right over there, right there. 32 Smith & Wesson long, yeah. That's what it is. Straight wall pistol cases. This is what this press, in my mind, here we are almost 60 years after it's made. That's what I think it can handle. And that's all I dare run in it because I don't want to break it. This is an antique. It is far older than me. And I want to use it for the rest of my life, which I do believe that it is capable of doing that as long as I take precaution, take care of it. Now, what's the benefit of it? Slow, fast. Slow, extremely fast. It is not a progressive, but it is good as of a progressive press as I need, because I do not need a Redding 7 or a Lyman Turret 8, because I'm only doing it for 100, 200, 300 rounds in one sitting of 44 Magnum, 38, 357 Magnum. Most of these powders I've had, well, actually that bottle of Herco right there I've had for 10 years. I'm finally almost done using it. I had that bottle of Tight Group way out there on the end. That is 10 years old. I am now just burning it up. And before you say, oh, I don't go shooting, I don't use a lot of powder, that red top can of IMR 4350, that's my 8th pound. I bought that pound along with 7 others back in 2010 when I was first getting into reloading, the guy had 8 pounds of it. I bought all 8, and the pound there has just a smattering left in it, and then I got another pound of 4350 behind it. I do a lot of shooting. I shoot handguns for distance. I shoot rifles for distance. And no, I am not just talking out of my butt on this. I don't need a big fancy press. I don't need something that costs more than I make in a month to do the volume that I need it to do. This works great. I am extremely happy with this little guy. I've had it for 3 months now, and nothing but smiles on it, because anything that is 60 years old and still works great and used as it is intended to be used is fantastic. I wish that there was something comparable about on the market to this press. It may be a little Lee, because, hey, I still have my first press that I ever bought. The only reason I don't use it anymore, she's pretty sloppy on the top of the ram, and I can't get the accuracy that I used to with the same guns, same cartridges. I just can't. It's not there. That's why I went to this. That press still works great for push-through sizing of cast lead bullets and some functions that I do on it, because, oh man, that's dirty. Whoops. It still works for what I need it to do. Back to this. Anybody that's considering buying one of these off of eBay or private party or at a gun show, go for it. There are a lot of great websites that sell a lot of these dies. You can find these dies, new, old stock, used. And if anybody ever says don't buy used dies because they're wore out, these dies are as old as this press is. These are not new dies by any means, but there's a lot of research that goes into buying Lyman 310 dies. You have to know what the size of the dies are and what they actually are, because there is neck sizing, there is full length, there is CMR, there is a whole slew of different Lyman dies because of that 310 hand tool. This uses the same dies as the 310 hand tool. If you don't know what that is, I wish I had one. I would do a video on it. This is what I got. Great press, great powder measurer, works excellent. Anybody that is more interested, I wish I could tell you the history on these things. There's just not a lot out there, other than there's an early model with a one-piece link and a late model with the two-piece T-handle link. I appreciate your time, guys. Thanks for watching. Bye.